Hi, everybody. It's a very special occasion tonight. My lovely friend Arthie is here with me. We have been wanting to do this for such a long time. So welcome to you, Arthie. I'm so happy that we are finally doing this.
Oh, I'm actually thrilled. Just to be able to see you is absolutely stunning. So that's the brilliant part for me.
Yes.
So I'm just loving this. Thank you so much.
And it is one of those things that we can probably talk for about 3 or 4 days. So we know we are aiming for 20 minutes, and we know we're not going to do that. We know that it's over when it's over, people. Yeah. Whenever I get so hungry that I will just get rude, that's when we stop. Okay.
Okay, so I'm looking for signs of hunger pangs there.
Yeah, you'll know. I'll be rude. Okay. All right. So I have a very specific reason why I've asked you to be here, because you are a role model for a lot of people. You and your partner, Jan Roberts, together have got the Leadership Institute. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's mainly aimed at younger people.
No, actually, the Key Leadership Institute that we created was to bring international programs to our country, values-based leadership programs. And I think that through our philanthropy work, we ended up doing quite a lot focused on youth development and women empowerment. We worked a lot with communities that are underprivileged in squatter camps, schools, universities, and also with corporate quite a lot in government organizations. So we haven't been limited with it. But I think that because Jan and I are very passionate about young people and youth development, we just find that they need a voice and they also need coping mechanisms. And if we've got it, it is our privilege to be able to share it with them.
Yeah, I think it's one of our touch points there. You know, this is something that we have in common, that we're so passionate about changing the outlook. The younger, the better, because if you can change that outlook young enough, and you can help people to be self-empowered, then we change our world, our entire world.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Well, I just need to say something to everybody quickly. So you've got a storm on your side. I've got a storm on my side.
Yes.
If for any reason we disappear, we're going to try our best to come back. I may have to run and go put the spare router battery thingy on, you know, the technology thing, which is sitting there in the drawer, which I hope is charged. So we may have to do something like that, but it doesn't mean we're going to give up, because neither of us are chicks who just give up, right? So if we disappear, just stay there. We'll light the candles and we'll come back. Okay, deal, Arthie.
Absolutely.
Okay, I've got.
Are we allowed to pour a glass of wine with those candles? I'm just asking for a friend.
Go, but don't pour the whole bottle while you wait. Okay, just take it slowly. Okay, unless it's going to make you spill some more secrets, which is in that case, go ahead.
No. It doesn't take me much to spill everything. I have an unfiltered mouth, and unfortunately, I don't need alcohol to be spilling anything. You just have to ask.
You're in the right place. Just stick with us here. This is where we're going tonight. Okay, so all right. So when we talk about empowering the youth, and we're talking empowering women in general, and I know you're not only working with women in general. One of your big things is, let's get the men involved and make it a man and woman combined effort. And that one, I mean, I just love that. From the first minute you said it, I was just like, yes, here's my hero, because one of the biggest challenges for me is when we do couples counseling, to get the man there. And very often women believe men are not capable of these emotional stuff. So that, and you're blessed because you've got a partner who's very in tune with the emotional life. So you actually make an enormously good team.
I don't think the poor man has a choice. I don't know. I've got two sons, and I just feel that to be inclusive in every point in my life, I strongly believe that men and women, if we're united specifically to help each other grow, to guide and support each other with our knowledge and our wisdom, we would stop fighting each other for the wrong reasons and embrace each other in a way that allows us to heal together. Sometimes we get so focused on just the one side healing, we forget some of who were the causes, and the symptoms that we're dealing with are all superficial. So we've got to deal with the causes on both sides, because I just find that it's not always just one way. It takes
Yeah.
either us reacting or responding differently. And if we learned some coping mechanisms that allow us to then not continue the same cycle that's destructive. Everybody keeps talking about what are you going to break in terms of the generational curse? And I'm thinking, you don't have to wait that long. It's about decisions, it's about choice, but you can only do that if you understand and have a heightened sense of awareness, if you're resonating at a different level. But if you're not aware, how would you know what choice to make and have the support structure and the systems in place to continue your development? You can't just make a choice, say to people, you need to get over yourself, make a choice, and then hope that they will survive the next part of the journey. And you know what I loved about your book? When I read it, it gave me healing. It allowed me to delve into deeper parts of the things I didn't want to look at. You know, on some level, I thought, well, I've done so much work. I'm nearly there. I'm getting there. I read your book and I'm like, oh man, no, there's massive work to do. And I actually shared what I read and all of the insights. I shared it with Jan as I did all of your journey work on it, as I did each part of the workshops. I actually thought, in order for me to really internalize my what I was learning, I had to share it with the person I had who spent the most part of my life with me in terms of helping me to heal, and the person that is going to spend the rest of my life with me on a journey I deserved. And so I thought, between the two of us, we actually, both of us, used a lot of concepts from your book. We had amazing conversations for hours, and it helped him to heal too. So I saw a lot of value in that, because I just felt hamster wheel for relationships is something that's going to break the underlying unconscious biases that we hold within ourselves. We're not even aware of it, but I love the triggers because it pushed me. It still does. And I go back because it's a continuous journey of self-development. So as I'm sitting here, there's still stuff that I need to work on continuously every single day. So I love
Yeah.
that.
You
Thank
know,
you.
I've just 10 minutes ago, I stopped. It was day 4 of a self-worth challenge. And one of my clients have been doing the self-worth challenge. And she just told us how, it's like that excitement, that like first baby steps, and like, wow, it's working. And she said, every single time when you try something new, you have more courage to go and try the new one. Self-worth, by practice. You practice it and you get stronger as you try it, and you try another thing and and it works. And you go, wow. But Arthie, this whole thing, because I also do know you're very strong about abuse, and this whole thing, what you're saying, this it's not the generational thing by itself, but also the men, because how do we break the cycles of abuse if we don't heal the men? It is
Absolutely.
unfortunate that most abusers are men. It's not like men are the only ones, but most abusers are men. And if somebody's healed, they're not going to abuse you. If somebody is healed, they are not an abuser. If there's an abuser, you're talking to a broken person. It doesn't make it right. It just says to you, let's stop it, because otherwise there's a very big chance that the next generation is going to have it again and again and again. So we talk about women's rights and we talk about abused people, then let's heal everybody. Let's take away those hurts and let's give people better tools, because people who are empowered, the abused person, when that abused person become empowered, you have options. And that that abuser, when they get healed, and they can get healed, when that abuser becomes healed, everybody in the circle have options. So yeah, I have to applaud your work, bringing all the generations into it, and what you do with your sons, because I see when you post, I see they've completed this, and they're young. How old are they?
Liam is 19 and Kailash is 14.
Yeah, Kailash doing it at that age. It's like brilliant, brilliant. Let's go for that.
I told you, these poor guys can't escape me.
Yeah, you're very blessed, and we're very blessed to have you. Okay, so the whole reason why I'm doing this, and I'm still planning to talk to a whole lot of amazing people, is I'm talking to people who have overcome challenges.
Mm.
And I do it on purpose. You know, when I start talking nowadays, because I've been doing this for a long time with a lot of groups, and I have a new normal, and I have a new, I have a whole reset. You know, I don't have people pleasing buttons anymore. I'm like, what are you trying to do? It's not working with me. I don't have that button anymore. So there's a lot of buttons I don't have anymore. And then it starts looking at like it was easy for you. And it wasn't easy because nobody's seen that I was roadkill. And so part of what I'm doing is, instead of just sharing my story, because I've got one story, I want to share other people's stories of how they've overcome. And there's one thing which is really important, and that is the moment when you decided to change. So do you want to give us a bit of background? Because that is the question I'm going to ask you, about that moment when you decided enough.
Do you want the moment, or you want what led me there?
You tell your story the way you want to.
Ha!
Yeah.
Okay, so where do I start? Okay, so I was sexually abused from the age of 3 is when was my earliest memory. From the time I was 3 years old until 13. And when I was 13 years old, I managed to finally put my father in jail, because I grew up in an environment where all I saw was he would beat up my mom. It was a daily occurrence. He would wrap his hands around her hair and smash her face into a wall. He would pick us up and throw us against a wall if we never listened to him, if he found a speck of dust, if he found something wrong. Turns out he was one of those people who was a serial adulterer. And if my mother even questioned and asked, why are you late? Or, what happened? I thought you were going to be home. Are you okay? She'd ask a normal married person question to the person in her life. And for that, he'd beat her up. The challenge, though, is that nobody actually stopped it. Nobody in our families could do anything because she hid it. She did not want anybody to know about the abuse, because in our culture, in our tradition, in our religion, it teaches us that you're going to suck it up. It is part of your what you took vows for, and you need to stick it out, and you need to honor the person regardless. And even if she told family about what they were doing to her, they would force her to go back. They would talk to them, do marriage counseling, which always fascinated me. If they are not professionals, how do you have a whole bunch of family come together and give you advice and say, stick with the person that's beating the crap out of you? It's okay if you got broken arms, you'll heal. If you've got a bust face, it's fine. We'll come and help you clean the house, we'll cook for you until you mend, but you're still with the abuser. And that used to make me angry, because at that young age, I never understood. And for me, being groomed from 3 years old, I never understood this was wrong either. So I just thought that was part of normal life, but I hated it because used to hurt me quite badly. And nobody stopped it. I just knew that this was not right. At 7 years old, I told teachers and I told family. And my mom actually walked in on him doing stuff to me. She called her brothers. They came in. They hit him. They chased him. He ran away. All I know is a couple of weeks later, he kidnapped us from school and threatened her. He threatened me with, if I did anything, if I said anything, he will hurt me. I mean, he burnt me on my face with cigarette butts and said, I dare you to complain after this. My mom took him back. And I thought, okay, so that's my lot in life. I've got nobody. When I went to, and I was removed to an orphanage, from the orphanage I was removed to family. When I was with different family, they beat me up because they said I was a full person and I deserved it, and that I brought this upon myself.
Big hug, my friend. Big hug.
I was 7.
You want to go to Gumit?
So, no, babe. No, I'll do this.
Okay.
They would whip me. Because they said that they needed to get the filthiness out of me. I was threatened with a shotgun at 7. I was made to clean up after everybody. They told me I was worthless and I was worth nothing. They said that I was the ugliest person they'd ever come across. And so I deserved everything that I got. My mom took him back. They forced her. She took him back. And there was a stage sometime at 13 years old, and I just thought, I was speaking to a lot of people and they said to me, this is not right, it's illegal. He shouldn't be able to do that. He shouldn't be touching you. He shouldn't be making you do things like that. And so I said, well, he is. And one day he came home in a drunken rage. And I said to him, no, I don't want to. Leave me alone. I will call the police. He just laughed. And he said, that's okay. That's not a problem. I won't touch you. Where's your little sister? Call her. I want her now. And I begged him and I said, please don't touch her. Please don't do anything to her. And I offered myself. I said, do what you want to, but don't hurt her. She doesn't deserve this behavior. She doesn't need to be hurt like the way you hurt me. So he did. And I called the police because I had evidence. I was told, you need evidence because otherwise nobody believes you. Because this is a messed up country where men will support men at that stage, and they will always blame women and say, you deserved it, you looked for it, it's the way you were dressed. He was put in jail for a few years, but his final gift to me from jail, a week after he was put in jail, he sent a relative home who was a policeman, and the policeman took me out and raped me at gunpoint. And he said, this is your gift from your father. There's a whole lot of policemen, and he held me down, and he did what he wanted to do. And so I thought, so my lot in life is not good enough, not beautiful. I can never be anything more than just used as something that is worthless, because that is all men would ever see in me. That is all I'd ever heard from the woman in my life, that you brought it upon yourself. The woman said that to me. The relatives told that me. They said that to me. They beat me up constantly. They made me their domestic worker. So that is all you are fit to be, is to clean up after other people because you are a mess. And so they kept putting in words like that into my everyday life from the time I was very, very small. That is all I heard. And so as I grew up, by the time I was 16, I did karate. I thought I needed to protect myself. And during that time, I did a lot of sports. Every single sport I could do, I persevered. I read a lot by that. When I was 7, I received encyclopedias as gifts. And I was locked into rooms with a candle because I was told that I could not be seen anywhere in case I enticed other people's husbands at 7 years old. So they gave me books to read with a candle. And so I would always read. They would lock me outside. So I'd sit in the cold outside. But I had books. So I think books, music, and stars became my guiding lights. But I think between the ages of 13 and 16, I went through these phases of hatred and anger. And
So you
any
became
person that ever
a
touched me,
rebel. You became a
any
rebel.
guy, that's when I became a rebel.
Yeah.
At 13, when all of this happened to me, I would go to school. I wore black leather jackets. I wore red shoes. I wore leather, anything that wasn't allowed. I went into full-blown leather outfits, and I would go to school. And if I saw anybody beating up somebody or hurting somebody, or they say anything that I thought wasn't right, I'd beat them up. I became a bully. I became known as Hell's Angel, the person that would stand up for anybody that was weak or I found that was being bullied. Somewhere by the age of 16, I realized that if any guy touched me, I beat them up. I never thought twice. I would hurt them before they hurt me. And it was a pivotal moment one day where there was a switch in my mind, because I heard there was a social worker who said to me, "Do you realize it's not your fault? You are not to blame. You never deserved this. And no matter what happens in your life, you deserve the best." And that stuck in my mind, but it never occurred to me what that meant, why, or how. Somewhere along the line.
His shame wasn't your shame.
But I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere along the line, somebody actually told me that if I set a goal, I can achieve it. And I read through so many books, and something triggered for me that if I wrote down what I wanted, I would achieve it. And I started to build my mind that way. And I kept saying it over and over to myself. I deserve the best and nothing less. I deserve the best. It's not my fault. I deserve the best. But that never stopped me from feeling not beautiful and not worthy. That never healed that part. So I realized that whatever goals I set, whatever I wrote down, and if I wrote it down clearly and I was specific, and I didn't understand goal setting and I didn't understand affirmations, I just read something in a book that triggered for me, okay, maybe that's going to work for me. So I started writing down what I would do, what I will have, who will be in my life, where I would go, what I would achieve. So in those moments of pain, sitting in the stars, even at 13, I remember I took a small book and I wrote down, by the age of 21, this is what I will do. I will marry somebody who is not of my culture. he would be a specific culture. This will be the color of his eyes. This is what he would speak like. This is what he would do. This is where our lives would go, or it'll grow. And I could just visualize this would be the life that I wanted. I would go overseas. I would have my car, and I wrote everything down at 13, and I left it there. Because between 13 and 16, I was busy beating up people so much, I never had time to think about that stuff. So I think that, and I finished school at 17, and I went to college for a year at 18, and that's where I met the man that I married, and he
Okay, so
passed away 2 weeks ago.
So you became goal orientated at a very young age, and in a very big way, your end goal have saved you.
I visualized what I did deserve.
So it gave you something to walk towards, exactly, instead of running away from something. Arthie, do you know
people say, but do you know how many people say there's light at the end of the tunnel? But they don't explain to you what they mean by that.
Yeah.
The end goal was the light for me.
Yeah. Look, I also know that when I was 12 years old and I didn't have anybody, I didn't have any family on my side. It's nothing as traumatic as what you went through. I'm not trying to compare it, but the experience that I had at 12, when you are a child and you know you don't have an adult on your side and you feel completely alone, completely alone. And I know that it was that thing that happened to me where I realized, I said to myself, I remember the day I sat on my purple bedspread and I said, Louise, you are never going to have anybody who's going to help you. You are going to have to get yourself grown up. It's not that they didn't feed me and you know, it gave me a place to sleep. I had a nice bed with a purple bedspread and I had enough food. But the emotional connection and somebody being there for me and somebody being on my side, I didn't have that. And I understand what you're saying, because it was that became my driving goal. That's the sole reason why I'm a workaholic, because I decided, well, workaholic in recovery, I decided there's not going to be anybody there for me. It's now my job to grow up myself. Okay, so between that chick in the levers who were beating up people and you today, I mean, like, you can't put the two together, because I know, look, there's a string of comments there, a string of comments, okay? And I know a lot of those people are people who know you. And they are people who've been supported by you and encouraged by you and inspired by you, because you're one of the most giving people ever. I've never talked to you where I have to say to you, Arthie, I need this. Or, I mean, sometimes I don't even have to talk to you, and you'll say, babe, and this thing, and let's do this thing, and let's do this thing. And you're just supportive all the time. There is like zero jealousy. There's like zero competitiveness on your side. That's a huge thing. And you move in circles where you have a lot of shining people around you. And you're never competitive. And you're always caring and always supportive. Now, that is one enormous switch to make from the rebel who was hurt. And do you know what was, do you remember the moment when you decided that this life is going to be different from today onwards?
Yep, I do. It's very clear to me, because that's always been the strength that I draw from when I need to remember and to ground myself, is the day I made a decision. And I always say to people, once you make a decision, the universe conspires to change the energy within you to attract everything that you deserve, the people. the tools, anything that you need, but you've got to make the decision. And that's only because I experienced it.
Mm.
I was just sitting quietly under the stars. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. I was 18. And I remember vividly, I was having a lot of, I don't know, it was doubts and anger and frustration. And at some point, the trigger was because my dad arrived back.
Mm.
He came out of jail and he was back. And my mother said that she wanted to take him back. And I was just angry. And I thought, I'm not that helpless child anymore.
Mm.
So somebody's going to have to save him.
Mm.
And I remember my grandmother always used to say to me, forgive people. If that is the greatest gift that you will ever have in this life, is to forgive people because you let them go from your life. And no matter what they do, they would have to deal with their consequences of their actions, but you don't have to carry them.
Mm.
And I was feeling very unforgiving at that moment because he had attempted. Everybody was gone and he attempted again. And I know I walked out of the house and I didn't come back until late at night. And while I was sitting there under the stars with all of this anger and this stuff brewing inside of me, I just heard a voice. Forgive him because this anger doesn't serve you. It was easier for me to react. It was harder for me to respond. And so I made a decision that day that no matter what happened, I would not be a victim of other people's stories. I would not be a victim of other people's words. I would not be a victim of what happened to me. I would use it. I would use it to help myself grow. I would look at the lessons. And I sat there for hours looking at what I'd learned from all of this. It was to be thoughtful to other people, that I never know what people are going through and I need to help them to grow, that I can guide and support people without hurting them and hurting the people around them, to know and understand that he was a sick man and that is something caused him to behave that way. And his behavior with me was a symptom of his inability to control his needs, his filthiness, whatever it was. But I had choice, that I did not have to let what happened to me determine what I could do, become, or have. And it took me hours, and I wrote all of this down because I loved journaling and I loved writing. So I wrote all of this down, and and in this book, I wrote there that I am amazing, I am brilliant, I am incredible. I never believed any of it. But I wrote that the final words was, I deserve the best. And my trigger's always been when I say I deserve the best and nothing less, always triggers for me that moment of I've got choice. I've made a decision that I will not hurt anybody anymore. I will not lift a hand to anybody. I will also temper my words because I used to swear a lot. I would, if I can, and that was my challenge to myself. I wrote down that I'm in control of what I say, how I say it, and how I treat other people. I'm in control of that. It's nobody else's fault that I was treated this way. And I forgave everybody from my side,
Mm.
in my heart and my thinking. I let everybody go, whoever hurt me, whoever treated me badly, whoever shared their filthy words with me. And that is how I wrote it off. It was their journey and they projected it on me. And that if I'm in control by making a decision that I'm not going to allow that to affect me, that means that the choices that I make, the success that I have, anything that I want is strictly up to me. And that is where the word compassion kept coming up for me. And for me, whenever I sit quietly in contemplation, there will always be a word that comes to me. And it's a word that is my trigger that I need to now learn or do something about, because maybe my energy or my behavior is not resonating at a high level. And I'm letting myself down. It's no longer about everybody else. And that was a massive thing. But it was a hard lesson to learn that took me only until 4 years ago to learn. And that's only because Jan was in my life. And I was ready to receive somebody with a different type of healing light into my life. But in order to be with Jan, I had to deal with my own emotional issues, my baggage, my own thoughts, that not all people are like that. And that is why I created the Ladies and Gentlemen Unite, because I strongly feel that not all men are abusers and not all women are abused. And so the circle of friends you talk about, the quality of people I surround myself with, are attracted to me because they are the type of people who are healed. And I also changed my perspective. I said that I will hold myself responsible for the words that I use in my life. That is why I say change the perspective. I refuse to let anybody say that I'm broken. I'm not. That's their perception. They can get lost with their words. I'm a whole human being who is healing. I'm a whole human being that is going through a journey. I'm a whole human being that just needed to be loved differently. And when we change those words, we attract within us that which we deserve. And if we keep allowing words like, I am broken, you're broken, it's broken people behave this way, we will keep attracting that because our subconscious mindset has got no sense of humor.
Yeah.
And
So
what
it's
we
again,
repeat, we will attract.
it's again that thing to become outcomes based, to become to focus on where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, Arthie, as you talk here now, thank you for that. You're incredibly brave, and I have even more respect for you because I haven't heard all of your story as yet, and on purpose, because I wanted to hear it with everybody else tonight. But I'm thinking about Maya Angelou's book. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, and I mean it's like that. You're a caged bird, but you still found you were a caged bird, but you found a way to sing. And this, what I've heard tonight, is the only other time when I have felt so deeply was when I read Maya Angelou's book, because you are in any way equally as inspiring as she is. Yeah, and I take my hat off for you. You know what I liked what you said is it was a decision. Because I think a lot of people don't understand that how much self-healing is a decision to leave something behind you and to go for where you want to go. Once you've made that decision, everything changes.
Yes.
So I want to ask you, because I'm currently on the topic of limiting beliefs.
Okay.
And you noted you said something about how you look, and I actually noticed that because you a few weeks ago you posted on Facebook your new look, your new hair, and you actually said this is the first time you've done this because of this was how it used to be defined, and somebody said to you, you don't that kind of girly styles don't suit you or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you did it. You got the style, and you were like, "Wow, here I am," and it suits you after all. So you healed that part of you only recently. I think it's worth noticing that we heal stuff when we get there. It's not like we're all of a sudden wonderful and we fixed ourselves in all kinds of ways. We heal what gets presented to us when we're ready for it. Okay, what has been your most difficult limiting belief to overcome?
Exactly what you just said.
Really? No, can't be. That's just your last
To be
one.
feminine. Yeah.
Really? Oh,
Yep.
wow. I'm making the dots. I'm connecting the dots. Because if you were feminine, you would attract men for the wrong reason.
Exactly.
But if you're strong and kick ass and you have karate, they had better stay away from you.
I dare
So,
anybody to touch me.
so what about being vulnerable? What
So
about being
no,
vulnerable?
to be feminine means that I needed to be in tune with my softer side.
Mm.
You see, the hard side is the defense mechanism I used for so long. But I was living my life thinking I was healed. But the reality in my actions, my words, and my behavior showed that I was defensive and I was living in attack mode. So the strong personality and what you see is not the reality of who I truly am. I would rather be quiet. I'd rather be in a safe place with music, in nature, away from everybody. But I've developed the strength within me to actually help other people to grow, because I know by focusing and giving back is more healing than hiding away. And I know it's only a few weeks ago I decided that I was going to attempt the girly hairstyle. And and I know that Jan would stand testament to this, because I even said this to him. I don't think you realize, when I met him, he was my safe place. He's the person who kept me safe and built my confidence in different ways. He was thoughtful and courageous and gentle, and he held the space for me. He walked with me with this journey of never ever questioning. He never judged. He was just thoughtful in that, and I'm grateful to him because of his part in my life. And I never take that for granted. The thing though is I used him as my measuring yard, the measuring stick for what I could do or be in a safe place. So he will even tell you, it was with him that I was able to, each year on my birthday, I made a pact with myself. The day my father died is the day I actually found true freedom for myself, because I didn't realize that I'd still been holding on. Even on his deathbed, he said, I did nothing wrong. Whatever happened to you, you brought it upon yourself. As he was dying, that was his last words to me. He says, I do not have to say sorry for anything. It's your problem to deal with. And so that always was, oh, but it's okay, I forgive you. That was my last words to him, and an hour later he was dead. But for me, that release allowed me to begin to make decisions that allowed me to choose me. And I remember very succinctly that it was a leap year, and I thought, no, I always hear people giving me rules, and I hate rules. And I thought, you can't tell me what I can and can't do. So the whole time I'd been told, you can't wear dresses, you can't wear tight-fitting clothes, you can't wear anything because you bring this upon yourself, you're attracted. And I thought, I allowed that into my thinking. I only wore black. I always wore baggy clothes, and I never went anywhere. I never made eye contact with men. I never put myself out there. And what happened was, when I finally got the divorce that I wanted, I started to create the life that I deserve. And it's been a journey every single year on my birthday that I will do one thing towards being more feminine. And so the first thing with my best friend Lindiwe, she took me to have my first manicure. Now I went there kicking and screaming, but they enticed me with champagne. So I said, that's fine. So that was the first year. The next
Well
year I got
done.
my
Well
first
done,
red
Lindy.
stilettos, right? So it was the
Well
first
done.
time I got stiletto heels, and it was red, and I wore that because I knew that with Jan I was safe. The next year, I bought a short skirt. It was for New Year's, and I was freaking out. But I had around me the most exquisite women who encouraged me, and they knew and understood my journey. And I said to them, this is huge for me. I put on long black boots with this short skirt, and we went out, and I was just freaking out the whole night. And then suddenly I realized nobody was even bothered. Everybody was having a good time. And for the first time, the layers started to come off, but it took me a long time to get there. And I realized once again, it's a decision. Make a decision and embrace it with confidence. And it took me a long time to build that confidence. And from there, it became makeup and doing all of those different things. But my father used to wrap his hand around my hair and hold me down. That is why I always had short hair. It took me a long time to grow my hair. And then that was my finale a couple of weeks ago for myself personally, was to attempt a girly look. And for me, that was a massive thing. And see, even now, when I was talking to you just now, no matter how much I've done the work, I still don't realize what's still unhealed in me. And because of this conversation, I know now I've made a decision as we were speaking. And as all of this pain is coming through, I thought I need to make a decision today. And I did while I was talking to you. I've made a promise to myself that there's more healing with the 7-year-old needs to be given freedom from the hurts and pains that other people had inflicted.
I knew I was asking a very big thing of you. But also, because I've done so much group work where people sit and they tell their story and they talk about their story and they have a time to, it's the talking about it and the talking about it that actually releases you from it. Because the more you talk through it, the more it becomes just your story and it doesn't define you anymore. And so, I think the world deserves to hear this. I think there's a book there. I'm really, honestly, from the beginning, I've said to you, there's a book there because you are inspiring somebody today. And, on that, let's stick with that for a minute because did you know, say your house is robbed and you've got five children and 4 of the children are sitting there and they're being tied up and they are powerless. And one little child is hiding in a cupboard and has a cell phone and can phone everybody and get the help there. That one little child who is getting the help is the one who doesn't need any psychologist because it's the one who don't feel powerless because it's about powerless. So the one who don't feel powerless, and I'm thinking that one of the saving graces of your life was just that very fact that you decided to go and do something about it in spite of all the judgment and all the blame and all the harshness and all the betrayal. You went and you did something about it. And part of why we're doing this is, what did you say to somebody in the same position? What do you say with afterthought? Because I can't say it. You're the one who can say this. What do you say to somebody who's in the same position?
You're worth it. You're absolutely worth it. Your life is worth it. The brilliance and the beauty of who you are and what the world deserves to see is your worth. And the second you start to embrace that, even as a thought that you're worth it, you'll start to make the effort to find the healing you deserve. You'll start to find the strength to wake up in the morning. You'll find that those dark moments, that moments when you just feel overwhelmed, like the world is closing in around you, that cage that is being built around you is words. They're words. And those words can be removed if you change the perspective because you're worth it. And if you know and truly believe you're worth it, you will step up for yourself. You will step up for the person that deserves to be seen. Because when you're worth it, you stop hiding, you stop becoming invisible, you start to find your confidence, you start to find your voice, you start to actually show the beauty that is within you that's been crying for so long. And then you realize that because you're worth it, you're not crying anymore. You'll find that it's your joy that is coming out because you're worth it. And when you look at the compassionate side, it's not about compassion for other people. You first have to have compassion for yourself and for the hurt, the pain, the sadness. But you also need to find the balance, because within all of this, it wasn't all wrong, it wasn't all pain. And so I look with gratitude to every single thing that's around me. I
I
look
was
with
about to ask
gratitude.
you,
Yeah. Because
I
when
was
you
about
work
to
it,
ask you about that.
it's
This very next question was,
Mhm.
if you know that one person tonight
Mm.
is walking away, is saying no more, enough, never
Exactly.
again. There's consequences. I'm not doing this anymore. If one person does that, was it worth it for you? Was it worth it, you
Absolutely.
going through all of that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I will do this as many times as it takes to make sure that other people get the fact that they deserve.
Mm.
They deserve. Every single human being, man, woman, or child, deserves to walk this earth knowing that they too are a miracle.
Well, you know, I
Mhm.
just finished tonight day 4 of the self-worth challenge. So I say this to everybody. Don't do any other challenge, don't do any other work until you've done the self-worth. You've got to start with the self-worth. And I've heard it so many times tonight. I've heard it so many times, but you found inside yourself the worthiness in order to go and to do all these things. The worthiness to be able to change your words, change your habits, change who you surround yourself with, and start putting your eye on the end goal. And don't
Yeah.
hold on to the story, but start focusing forward, then you will go forward. It's, yeah, it's absolutely awesome. Arthie, shall we look at a few comments?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I don't know how many comments there are. Okay. Hi, Jan. There's lots of Jan here.
It's a brilliant song. Brilliant song.
There, there. What he says.
He's got no choice.
I'm going to talk to you another time, Jan.
If men want to know what a true man should be like, they should connect with Jan.
Well, lots of comments here. We'll go through it slowly.
Hmm?
Sometime. Yeah, I'm going to talk to you soon. There's a thank you from Linda. Okay, so we'll catch up later with we'll catch up later with more of the comments. Okay, so what do you want to say, Arthie, to if you have to encourage somebody to change their life, to become self-empowered? What do you want to say? Where do you start? What's the very first thing that anybody should do before they do anything else?
Can I share a saying quickly?
Hmm.
I came across this saying that became a mantra for me. And it was by Eleanor Roosevelt when she said that nobody can make you feel inferior without your consent. I read that when I was 19. But what I did was I wrote it down and I read it every single day to myself. And one of the things that I realized with affirmations is that to continuously affirm my worthiness, I had to affirm what I wanted to become as if I already was there. So the one thing that I created for myself was the words that would keep me strong no matter what was going on around me, because there are a lot of people in this call will feel they'll feel this need to do something immediately. And I just find that being quiet is the biggest gift you can give to yourself.
Mm.
Go into your quiet space, even though there's noise around you, and have your journal and write down the words that come to you about what makes you matter.
Mm.
How do you feel the brilliant self of you would look like to the world? And I came up with 2 sentences that I now say to myself every day. I'm loved and respected, safe and protected. And that is all I say to myself. And for me, it starts to bring me the strength that I need to get through the day when I'm feeling overwhelmed. So it's loved and respected, safe and protected, whichever one comes first. And so I would encourage anybody now to go into your quiet space, just a piece of paper, wherever you are. What are the beautiful words that resonates with the brilliance of who you deserve to be? And you create for yourself the sentence. It doesn't have to rhyme. It's got nothing to do with anybody else. You embrace within it the words that your soul craves. Let your intuition guide you.
Mm.
And whatever the words are, you write it down and then read it to yourself. And you make it positive and powerful and intentional, because being intentional right now will lead you to the decision you need to make. And when you make the decision, you're going to start to realize that continuously saying these sentences to yourself is going to give you the strength and the courage to stand up for yourself and take the next step. And understand it's baby steps every day. I did not get to where I'm at by reading some books and just watching motivational stuff.
Mm.
There were tears. There was a lot of hurting
Mm.
to get to this point. But affirming my self-worth began with those sentences that say, write down what your life means to you and what it would feel like to be worthy of everything you deserve. And as you write that down, you're going to find that you have this incredible emotional feeling of just feeling peaceful. There's a tranquility that actually transcends over you. Then you
So
know
you
you've got the right words for yourself.
so you're talking about visualizing that
Mm,
life that you want for yourself, and then you take the steps that will make
mm,
it happen. Um, I want to add one other thing, because there's something that a lot of people miss, and that is, and you've mentioned it before. It's asking for help.
yeah.
It's having some supportive people in your life. And you can
Mm,
ask. You can read, and if you find that one person, that one saving person that believes in you,
mm,
you suddenly have wind under your wings. But there's more to it. It's the fact that so many of us, especially if we had to bring ourselves up and we had this limiting belief that there's nobody
mm,
going to be there for us, and we on our own, and we have to be strong for ourselves, that we don't know how to invite help in. And that's huge, to understand that we can only be helped if we go looking for help, but then we have to let it in. This is
yeah.
the strong person, the strong woman curse, where you become, and that's the curse of a very hurt person who've learned to be
Yeah.
self-sufficient. But you have to unlearn that thing that managed to get you grown up. You have to unlearn it as an adult in order to let people into your life. You've got to start breaking down those walls and dropping those bricks one by one by
Mm,
one, and let other people into your life.
mm-hmm. You're right.
So there was one other thing which you said, which I thought was really important, which was You had to force yourself through all of these steps. There were none of them that was easy. There was like, okay, I'm shaking, I have a fear of this, I'm doing it nevertheless. And that is something that stops a lot of people, the fear. Because we fear rejection, we fear abandonment, we fear a repetition of our hurt and trauma. We fear our own power, we fear our own awesomeness, we fear so many things. And when you actually can put on the miniskirt and go out and walk through the fear, no matter what it is, you end up on the other side and you are more whole until you get the next one. Because the next one is going to present it to yourself. You can't avoid it. And your job is, okay, here's the next one. Okay. Put on your miniskirt again. Walk through it. If you find the fear, walk through it. It's not the situation that's going to kill you. Nobody's going to be killed by wearing a miniskirt. Nobody's going to be killed by looking fabulous. It's the fear. It's the fear that keeps us a caged bird. Because that day when you put on the miniskirt, you were less caged.
Yeah.
You wouldn't
It was my own thoughts that caged me. It wasn't anybody else anymore, which meant that I'm fully responsible for everything from now on. And making the decision means I'm finally taking back my life, and nobody's controlling me. I'm now in control of my life.
Yeah. So you've got to identify that thing that's still hidden from you, and it's gonna when it shows it, don't walk away from it. Put on a miniskirt, go out, walk through it. You're not a slave to the fear anymore, but instead now you are free, which is what we call emotional freedom. Nobody understands it until you have it. That's a concept. And sometimes you think you have it, and you don't have it until you have it. But emotional freedom is just that. You're actually free to be you. You're actually free to be you, and not the you with all the limiting beliefs and the constraints and the fears. You're just you with curly hair.
Absolutely.
Okay, Arthie, anything you want to add? You need that wine now, don't you?
I think it's a whiskey now at this point.
It's a whiskey now. Okay. All right. Yeah, okay, there. What's Leon saying?
I think, for beautiful people. Yeah, and feel the rear. Who's bummed you on a pinch and then do it anyway?
Okay, real with fear.
Feel the rear and do it anyway.
Real with fear.
No, I just think that, I know there was a heavy conversation for a lot of people. Stop buying into other people's stories. You will hear other people's stories. Don't buy into it. Listen to your own. Yeah. It took me a long time to realize that my intuition and my decision making gave me the ability to make the choices for my life. So there are a lot of people who give you advice out there. You choose intuitively what works for you. So stop listening to other people's stories and start living your own, because life is a choice. And all of these moments and these memories are the ones that you deserve to have, are the ones that you have the ability to create. You have the choice. Nobody can ever take that away from you. Now that you've learned a few things, there's a lot that you would need to unlearn. And if you can realize that you're worth it, embrace compassion as your daily, everyday thinking. You don't have to do fantastic things. Just seek out like-minded people who are wanting to heal. Stop telling your story to the wrong people. Rather connect with the people who've got the skills and the ability to help you. And I just feel that when people reach out to the right people, they get the right tools and the coping mechanisms, the right guidance, and the ability to continue their journey in a more powerful way, focused way, more intentional way. because there are a lot of people who use their story to be victims for the rest of their lives, or can use it as the stepping stone to get yourself over the next hurdles to the next part of the journeys, because not every road is lined with obstacles. The direction that you choose and the path that you choose is yours. It's yours to choose from. It's yours to demand of life. Nobody can force you anymore. People will do that. They will hurt you. They will demean you. They'll break you down. Only if you allow them to.
And the place
No
to
more.
start with compassion is compassion to yourself.
Absolutely.
There's no ways it doesn't work to start with compassion for others before you have compassion for yourself. That is where you start.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. This was, I think taking a deep breath moment. And thank you. Incredibly brave and
Welcome.
such
Thank you.
inspiration. Yeah.
Thank you for
so
allowing
much.
me to share my story.
Thank you. Okay. I'm going to switch off now. I've got another little song somewhere. Don't disappear. Okay. When I play my little song, don't disappear. Don't disappear, Jan. In fact, Jan can join if he has the link. All right. So somewhere there's a little song that I'm going to play, and then okay. So you can say goodbye to everybody, and you can say goodbye, Arthie.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, take care of you wherever you're at, and I wish you the most exquisite journey going forward. Thank you for having me on the show. Thank you to everybody listening, and wherever you're at, you deserve to heal. You're worth it, and enjoy this brilliant life that you walk this earth on. Be intentional. From myself.
Thank you so much. I can't say it better. Thank you for coming. Love you lots. And if you come and watch afterwards, give us some comments. We're going to go back and we're going to read all of them. So thank you very much for everybody who watched. And thank you, Jan, for all the comments. And we're going to play the song and we're going to switch off now. Don't disappear, Arthie. Okay. All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Okay, bye-bye.
So